All right, so please listen to the end of this. I promise you there is a heartfelt story that will have tears in your eyes, if nothing else. Okay, so, but first I got to nerd out for a second to explain why this story was so important to me. All right, so a long time ago, there was a guy named Urie Bronfenbrenner, a professor from Cornell University, developed something called ecological systems theory, bioecological systems theory. Doesn't really matter a whole lot about that, except that it had to do with how other systems affect how children are raised in today's society. For example, let's say a mom or a dad go to work. They have a horrible day at work, and the mom or dad are being talked down to the whole day. The boss is in a bad mood, threatening their jobs, all of that stuff. It puts them in a bad mood. When they come home, they come from that system home, they sit down for dinner that night, and let's say they do something like bark at the kids to keep quiet. Okay, get your elbows off the table, start barking at them constantly. So that system now, with the bad day, has affected the children and their development. And if that happens too often, then obviously it can have an iatrogenic or a bad effect on them. That is something like, let's say the kids lose their voice. They don't think they can speak out because they get their head bit off every time they do. And so they become more silent and aren't willing to give themselves a voice. So that's just the bad effects that can happen as these systems affect each other. So that's why I want to tell you this heartfelt story of a guy who did not know about the systems or how they affect each other, but he figured it out on his own. And so here's the story. This guy would come home every day for years, and his daughter would see him sometimes, and she would get excited for her dad to come home because he worked long hours. And she would see him park the car in the driveway, get out, and the very first thing he did every single time he came home from work was get out of his vehicle, walk to the tree in their front yard, and touch the tree. Put his hand on the tree just for a second. No matter how rainy it was, no matter how snowing it was, anything like that, he would touch the tree, and then he would turn around and go inside. Finally, after years of watching this and kind of curious what Daddy was up to, she asked, "Daddy, why do you touch that tree every single day when you come home from work?" And he explains to this little girl, "That's my trouble tree. I touch that tree every single day when I come home from work so that I don't bring my troubles from work in across the threshold of the door. I don't bring them into this house and affect how my kids are being developed." Every single day for years, this dad comes home, gets out of his car, leaves all his troubles on that tree. Like, this old tree's seen better days, a lot of troubles in my life, and then goes in to take care of his children and everything like that. I really think something like this needs to be normalized, whether it's a trouble wall, a trouble rock if you don't have trees in your area, just a trouble something where before you walk through the threshold of that door to where your children and your wife or the other way around, your husband are, or anything like that, you leave all your troubles outside. You can talk about them with your spouse later on if you need to, but leaving them all outside before you go in so it doesn't affect them, man, that just melts my heart. That dude, whoever he is, he's on the East Coast somewhere according to the story, that dude is a superstar, an absolute superstar of a dad right there. Anyway, that's my heartfelt story.